All
Well,
right.
I don't know. It may have to restart everything. So I don't know. The world may have missed our conversation about how humble you were, but that's fine. No,
Yeah.
we'll just have to keep them guessing. A little mystery is good.
Yeah.
What did we say? We don't know. Or I sound dumb right now because we just edited the first clip into the beginning of this one.
Yeah. I think we edited all this out.
Probably
Yeah.
our
Well, what a
cracky
week.
editors.
What a week.
Yeah,
What
yeah. This has been
2 weeks. Yeah.
this has been this has been a couple of weeks. Yeah,
Yeah.
this has been. I don't even know. I don't think any of us have slept. I don't think anyone in the industry has slept in 2 weeks. You look terrible. I mean,
Thank you.
I can tell
Thank you
this
for
is weighed
noticing.
on you,
Yeah.
huh?
Thank you for noticing.
Yeah. Did haircuts get tariffed, man? Are you having to cut back? Did
Dude,
you not able to get any haircuts right now because of the tariffs?
the guy who cuts my hair is from Italy. So I think,
Oh,
yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure that's not, it's like an extra 30% on that or something.
I thought they were sending. I didn't know. I didn't
I'm
know the
waiting out
tariffs.
the tariffs. Yeah, I'm waiting them
I
out.
didn't.
It'll be
Yeah.
another 90 days before I get a haircut.
I'm not sure if the audience can handle another 90 days of this.
Yeah. Um,
Well, welcome to the tariff episode.
yeah, well, this
If
is
we seem
gonna,
frantic, it's because look around us.
we're completely unprepared. We have no agenda and
Nah,
have done no research on this.
like the tariffs, we didn't plan. We don't have an agenda. There's no goal for this. We're just kind of seeing what sticks. Um,
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Give us some time. Give us some time. Right after the episode releases, we may claw back some of the airtime. Um, we may. Just kidding.
Yeah,
Uh, yeah. So here we are. It has been a wild week. Obviously, crazy tariff stuff for everyone, and jewelry specific tariffs were particularly tricky because the jewelry industry is worldwide. So there's people everywhere. There's manufacturers and stores and people and diamond cutters, and I mean we're one of the most globalized industries I would think out there. So this has been, I mean, for me, I don't know, and for us, I mean, I'd love for you to say literally anything about this because I don't know what I'm talking about, but I think you're more informed than me. But one of the trickiest parts of this has just been the uncertainty, and like not really knowing what is gonna happen. If something comes out a tariff percent, it's like even deciphering that with how specific our exports and imports and stuff is tricky. Um,
yeah. So I was sitting here and thinking about like all the things. This is probably like there's several things I think uh, would be interesting to talk about. So let's first kind of let's talk about that a little bit and give a little update, and then kind of observations and reactions from different
yeah.
perspectives on this industry. We've talked to retailers who have different perspectives and vendors, and so yeah, I mean the uncertainty, as you mentioned, is that's the biggest thing. I mean, I feel like I mean, it took like a week to settle into okay, here from starting from like, oh my god, I don't understand how this industry exists with this kind of a tariff situation,
Yeah.
and going from that to okay, well, I guess we'll deal with it and pay tariffs, right? And just kind of
Yeah.
settling into that, and then on Wednesday, literally, was on a call with a customer for half an hour, explaining to them the whole tariff situation, the amounts, how that affects pricing, what suggestions for what they should do,
Yeah.
how to handle that, with the retail, from a retail perspective. I got off the call and had a text waiting. It's like, oh, there's no more tariffs. And at that point, I thought it was like, there's no tariff. We're going back to zero, or
Yeah.
whatever. The 6%, whatever it was before.
Yeah.
Um, and then took another half an hour to figure out that no, it's not zero. We're just in the middle. Now we're at 10%. So
Yeah.
26% to 0 to 10%, and it's just like a whiplash, uh, serious whiplash situation. Literally have been dealing with doing nothing but this basically for 9 or 10 days.
Yeah, well, it's
Uh,
like how many people, I mean, so much effort repricing, like everything, all the offerings, restructuring, customer service, preparing everyone. Um, and, information is so sporadic. It's like not everyone is getting the same message. It depends on where you're getting your news from and how often you're checking it. And
yeah,
it's hilariously same thing happened. You were the one that told me that they were paused. I mean, obviously there's some tariff, but that it was the big one was paused or whatever. And I same thing. I We had priced a job for someone, and they had gotten a price, 7 days ago or something, and they went to confirm it. Their customer came in and paid for it at that price, and then they went to confirm it, and it was magically it's so complicated. It's 25 or 33, whatever it was, percent more, which doesn't work. Um, so yeah, I was about to have to call a semi grumpy person back whenever you saved me from that and said that, yeah, you had seen that the news or whatever. So yeah, it's I don't know, it's crazy. I think something that would be kind of interesting, that maybe people don't always understand, or that don't know about our industry. And the reason why these were so tricky, I mean, we're not in the only bucket here. I mean, tons of people get their stuff from overseas and resell retail stores around the world, country or whatever. But the jewelry specific, like sourcing, as far as all the kinds of manufacturing happens, where the raw materials start
yeah,
and end up and cutting, and then the retail stores and the import. I don't know, just kind of like explaining that like a little bit might be helpful. We've talked to stores that don't really understand that too, which isn't their fault. I mean, the information's not really available.
yeah,
Um, but I don't know. That might be a good place to start.
yeah. So, uh, let's start with diamonds first. So, diamonds in terms of rough diamonds are coming from Africa, mostly southern part of Africa. Um, is probably the biggest, or yeah, probably the biggest individual place where they come from. Then would be Russia, which again, that for the last 2 or 3 years has been, um, there's all sorts of sanctions on Russian diamonds, and
Weird.
so
Did something happen? Weird.
yeah,
No.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, so that has become a much smaller. Basically, that supply went offline when all that happened. There was a major impact on supply chain and pricing and all that. And at the same time as kind of lab grown diamonds was coming online as well. So there's a lot of things happening that were affecting diamond prices, and it's kind of like and all flowing down to like the choices that consumers were presented and that people were making um, because of all that. So that's a place not as much of a factor now. Those are all sanctioned, so that's not necessarily a source right now. Canada is a big one, kind of the higher end of higher quality diamonds, kind of. And Australia has been a big source again. Also, so the biggest mine in Australia went offline, um, or kind of ran out a few years ago. So that is not as much of a factor. So anyway, that leaves Africa's kind of the biggest piece of this. That's the rough, and then those go to again, probably the biggest mines are in Botswana, I think, at this point. And so some of that rough diamonds stays in Botswana and gets cut and polished there. And that's kind of increasing. The government there is kind of putting a lot of effort and resources into developing that industry, and so that's a growing source. Um, the bulk of the diamonds they go to Belgium. They get traded. Eventually, they make their way to India, the biggest cutting and polishing center by like a vast majority. Somebody recently told me it's about 85% now. Yeah, and it's by volume. So all of that gets cut over there, and then a lot of the like larger and nicer stones, much the very premium, like high value stones, will get cut in Belgium or Israel, uh, and then come here. And then there's like a few stones, very very few stones get cut in New York. Um, so it's a very global supply chain, uh, like super integrated supply chain. There's components from one place. Uh, Obviously, a large majority of that being cut in India. Um, but there's several countries here that are playing a role, and is pretty specialized. Like what they're doing in Israel is different from what they're doing in India and what they're doing in Belgium, and so it's not like it's all just replicable. Um, so that's one thing. So that's the diamonds, and then jewelry production. I believe is India and China, probably the two, just in terms of the volume of production. Those are the two biggest centers. Thailand and Vietnam after that. Um, Dubai as a is a kind of a growing area of production, uh, and that's where this is the biggest centers of jewelry production. Um, and then trading centers, you have Dubai, Hong Kong, Belgium, Israel, New York. Um, yeah, I think that's so. That's where
Trading. What's a trading center? What is that?
trading where you'll have like, well, let's say cut and polished, polished diamond inventories, and they will have offices there, like wholesale offices with inventories there, and people will buy and sell and um, kind of distribute that to wherever they're needed, right? So to retailers or and eventually to consumers and all that stuff. But basically, like buildings of wholesale offices where they all have inventories of either loose diamonds or jewelry, um, and their distributing centers.
Hmm.
When I say trading, that's like there's a local economy. So on 47th Street in Manhattan, in New York, the whole this this the Diamond District, and literally all those buildings upstairs. There's just diamond offices and jewelry offices and colorstone offices, um, and you will have people walking from. There will be either buyers, brokers, sellers. So, for example, you can have a broker, and you have one office which needs to buy a stone or a parcel of stones, and they will call a broker that they know and say, "Hey, I'm looking for something like this," and this broker's job is to kind of go around to offices that he may know of and look for that stone. So he'll call for different offices and try to find a stone. And somebody has something, he'll go look at it. And if it looks good, then he'll take it and bring it back with him to the other office where they're looking for that stone. Um,
You know,
you know, the
I just
more
real quick, I want to pause for a second because I don't know what you just said strikes me. I kind of want to. I would want regular people to know that.
yeah,
Um, like the the jewelry industry. When you walk into a jewelry store and you're shopping for an engagement ring or whatever it is, and a lot of times nowadays, I mean, it's what we are involved in this side of it, and so I guess we see a lot of it because this is what we do. But um, the store will have a selection of diamonds that they've handpicked from hundreds or thousands of stones on their own, and if those don't work, usually it's a common thing to have something called like a memo brought in. So like if you were looking for something really specific, um, a 2 carat with a particular color and a clarity, and they didn't have it at the store. Well, if it's a good store, I mean, they'll usually they can get things in for you to look at. It's got a memo, and you don't have to buy it. You just look at it, and if you like it, you can buy it. And the companies, the diamond distributors, the trade centers, people like us kind of facilitate that. And the point that you just said that I kind of would want people to know about that is what you just described. There is no Amazon facility with just like diamonds laying
right.
and you're just like, oh, this
You're
store
not
needs a two
picking and
carat.
back. Yeah, it's not like
Yeah.
picking and packing. It's
It,
like a lot of
no.
human
This is
judgment.
hyper.
Yeah,
Yeah, you have several humans who have been doing it like their whole lives that have been doing it forever, and they're calling other specialized people in our industry. They're looking at stones by hand. They're calling 3 and 4 sources to get the best price or best stone. And that's on like every one of them. That's like how it works. And so there's this like almost no like mindlessly distributing stones out or whatever. At least not on the independent jewelry side, store side, your local store or whatever. But yeah, anyway, you can keep going. I've been thinking about that a little bit. I think that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of human involvement. Obviously, like there are, they're working on technology. There's platforms now where you can um, do some of this digitally, and you can look at the specs, and you can look at a video or something like that, and get a pretty good idea. And so that's helping to make it. But even then, like somebody's looking at
Yeah,
personally looking at a video and seeing exactly what the stone looks like, and somebody's taking that video, which is like a
yeah.
painstaking process. And um,
I've been a part of conversations between a store that's looking for a stone for a client and the, the person giving them the stones. And even when I worked at a retail store, we used to do this. And I mean, I'm telling you, the level of, I mean, the salespeople. I mean, it will be a situation where it's like, listen, I look at the stone. I
yeah,
need you to make sure you don't see anything from the top,
yeah,
or given the color and clarity, or this customer cares way more about color than the
yeah,
clarity. So I need you to find or we have someone that use they used to call them bluffy stones.
yeah.
They would be like, please, pick one that kind of spreads on the top a little bigger for the carat weight and looks bigger. So, I mean, that's
Yeah.
the kind of individualism,
It's
that,
I would say most of the time there's, to different degrees, but there's always
yeah,
uh, some amount of uh, some degree of human involvement and human judgment,
yeah.
like really very personally looking at the stone and
And I
picking it.
guess not to make it about this, but I guess, I don't know. I mean, when I was doing it, I mean, it was pretty much, really the lab grown stuff hadn't become a thing yet. Um, and now, I don't know how different that is now, with lab growns. I know there's still some variances and things, but I guess it's gotten at least a little bit more standardized.
A little bit, yeah. Well, with lab grown, not
Right.
with the earth mine stuff,
Yeah.
but
Earth
in
mine's still the
in
same.
the lab
Yeah.
grown, less,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely
So if
less.
you
And
want someone to
it's
hand
not
pick your
completely
stone,
gone,
and
though. I wouldn't
yeah,
say it's completely out,
yeah,
because even yeah, even there are variations.
mm, yeah,
Um, so yeah, that would be a trading center. So these are, so in terms of jewelry, so the tariffs impacted, just looking at jewelry. So India, China, Thailand, and Vietnam, the tariffs were heavily impacting these uh, these areas, or still are. Um, and so it was, on Wednesday, and obviously there was like advance notice that there will be tariffs and reciprocal tariffs and stuff like that. Um, the uh, the expectation was probably that, like, based on the category, there would be a reciprocal tariff. And so if you look at India and you look at the tariffs, on jewelry, and if there was something reciprocal of that nature, that was kind of the expectation. And so there was some preparation in the industry for that to take effect. Um, and what happened was it was a across the board tariff on the same numbers on across industries. And so the interesting thing with that is, you know, it's very different when you're talking about, like, t-shirts versus versus diamonds, because the raw material itself, this, again, not to say that this is easy or easier in other industries or whatever. But the challenge with with jewelry is that the tariff applies to gold and diamonds, and then the labor is a smaller component of the product versus the gold and diamonds itself. And so, makes a substantial impact on uh, these kind of very high value items in the first place.
Right.
Um, and so there was definitely, there was a lot of panic in the industry. There's panic in the manufacturing countries, panic here among vendors and wholesalers, uh, panic at the retail level. People are just thinking about, okay, how do we as an industry deal with this? How do we adjust? How do you absorb that? Um, in terms of pricing.
let's
Uh,
just let's just knock out the big question. Let's just knock out like the looming thing or whatever. So I mean the target. I'm not necessarily like disagreeing with this either or whatever. But the whole point of it was to try and level things out or bring some of that to America or whatever. Right. So I we might as well talk. I mean, we should talk about that part. The whole
yeah,
American production. I mean, I think that's kind of the anyone that would be watching this that is like hearing this and they're like, well, good. I'm glad the tariffs hit because we should be making more of that in America. I mean, I think we should talk about like the skill set situation, the the proximity of high skilled labor in any given area. You know,
yeah.
and I don't know. I think we should at least say something about that.
Okay, yeah.
I'm gonna leave that to you because this looks like a minefield.
Mine.
So
Yeah. Good
yeah,
job.
this is a
Good job
minefield.
throwing that right at me. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Uh,
figured I'd lay out the traps for you to get canceled instead of
yeah.
me.
Yeah.
And do you like how I
Here,
added that? Not that
here
I
I
disagree
goes.
with them.
Last is our last episode. So here we
Yeah,
go.
yeah. Only one of us is going to El Salvador.
Yeah.
I said I did mention on there that not that I disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, you go ahead and
Um.
walk through the minefield. No, it's an important thing.
So
Other industries have been talking about this too. That it's like, well, how do you expect it to happen overnight? But I mean, it is a real. I mean, we should. Talk to us about the issue. I mean, it is a thing. It's tough.
it is, and it's totally understandable. Like again, bringing some production. So we had an earlier episode with Guy Beard when we talked about this,
Yeah,
about manufacturing in the U.S. and how that skill set and the people that understand machining and particularly like machining and developing tools and techniques for manufacturing stuff in the U.S. That has it's few and far between. Like it's that has dwindled over time, and it is a real issue. Um, that's why I think it's very very cool, very gratifying when we do run across people like Guy
yeah,
to support that, to collaborate, um, and develop that, reignite uh, that industry or that skill set here in the U.S. That said, so there are, and we do, we work with workshops here and jewelers here and do some portion of our production here.
hmm
Um, it is so. It is first of all I've been telling people over last week, like every shop that I know of here is pretty much already full.
Yeah, it's hard to. Yeah,
Right? It's like
yeah,
at capacity. It's very hard to make stuff here. Like if I go to a shop and I say, "Hey, I need to make uh, 50, 100 of these," or "Hey, I have this big job, like a big necklace, and I want to make this here." It's hard to get them to
yeah,
to agree to that, to accept that, or there's like a very long um, time frame because they are. So I don't. So I mean, I guess that means that there is already like plenty of demand for U.S.
yeah,
production.
yeah,
Whether why the supply is not there. Uh, I'm not entirely sure. All what I do know is that it's hard to hire jewelers, or whether setters or jewelers, or hire people with those skill sets here. It's hard to find them.
yeah.
Um,
The
they're
New
all
Hope
taken.
or whatever those
Yeah,
schools, the
if you
jeweler
have those skill
schools.
sets,
Yeah,
you're set. Like you have a job. You
yeah,
don't need to look for a job.
right.
Yeah. It's hard for stores to find a jeweler,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
hard for a workshop. Like if you're a workshop in New York City and you want to, if you want to start, so we wanted to. We've been looking at that for years.
yeah.
It's very hard to uh, find people. Um,
And I would just point out that the pay. I mean, again, I've fielded so many calls from stores. Call, hey, do you know of any jewelers that are looking to be hired or whatever? I see the listings on the jewelers groups and things. The pay is very high. I mean, it's, and I'm saying that in a good way. I mean, the pay and benefits and
oh
time
yeah,
and
oh yeah,
everything is very, very like great. And I
oh yeah.
just they
If you're a good diamond setter,
yeah. Oh,
they make a very nice income.
ton.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there doesn't seem the schools have trouble finding students to the new age. I said New Hope. That's a Star Wars.
Yeah.
The New Age, I think, is what it's called. One in Nashville or whatever, and the other ones. They
The Paris School of
yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's weird. Yeah, because the demand seems to be there, and the structure is very good, and everyone wants them. And I don't know. It's
So yeah, there's uh, definitely like getting recruiting people to either go to the school or work in a shop and learn those skills or whatever. That is not for whatever reason. It's
yeah.
hard to recruit people. So that's one thing. Uh, so I don't think in this particular case it's a question um, of not being lucrative or not. Yeah, I just think it's just not not manufacturing in the U.S. And jewelry is not, I guess, interesting to younger people or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, Obviously, this is also not like strategic. Like this is different from building autos or steel or defense tech or whatever, right?
Mhm.
Like or like semiconductor chips.
Yeah.
Um, this is not like a matter of strategic necessity.
Yeah.
Um, so that's and then um, you know if so, I still think so. There is enough of an uh, enough of an industry here. I don't know what the percentages are, but it has to be at least 5 or 10% or more of the production must be here in the U.S. Um, so it's not like it's not like it doesn't exist, right? Now the question is if you want to get, you know, a large chunk of that, if you want to move over like 50% of the production here, the capacity is just not there. Like, and the
Yeah.
people, there's no people for that.
Right.
Uh,
And it's
and
high
so when
skilled.
you
It's
do,
not, putting together an iPhone. If you just need someone to connect the pin, I don't want to belittle the iPhone. I'm just, a traditional manufacturing job that you can think of where they're just sort of doing a specific task. That is not the case. I mean,
yeah,
with jewelry manufacturing, I mean, this is all extremely high skilled.
yeah. So in terms of like, moving loose diamond cutting and polishing here, for example, like
Yeah.
it's all coming, this huge majority of it coming from India, and to move that here in any substantial way seems like a tough a tough sell.
Yeah.
Um, so now that's basically a component then that's coming in, um, and so any tariffs are gonna just apply to that component, whether that's just gonna you know that is gonna raise prices on the components
So
for better.
if you moved production here, and the 10% of the people that are here, they're probably not digging up their own diamonds in the backyard. They're not like growing in a garden. They're probably coming from India anyway,
Yeah,
or wherever they come out of the ground, Botswana, or
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Um, all right. So then there's the other point you brought up was certainty. So going back to that, that's something that has been interesting, that I've kind of reflected on over the last week. Is at this, like, in this position, as a small business, what do you do? When you don't have certainty
yeah,
of, it's not like you can say, okay, let's start a shop in the U.S. and invest substantial amount of capital into that, um, because that's the future. That's the future. We don't actually know right now. We do not actually know in any way what's going to happen over the next 90 days.
right.
So it is like a tough position to be in that sense. So we're just kind of on pause. A lot of people are feeling, you know, in in limbo, and we're not to say that we're proceeding. Things are moving along, but it's definitely um, it's definitely affecting people and
Yeah.
uh, putting plans on hold for a bit.
Mm.
Um, so it's just an interesting reflection on like what certainty, the value of certainty, which you don't think about that every day, but
Yeah. It's like your
um,
health. It's kind of expected that
yeah,
things move along. You expect to be healthy, and when you're not, you really know it. You
yeah.
really think about it.
Now you
Yeah.
realize what that means to have stability and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and
Yeah.
thank God for the stability that we do have. I'm
Yeah.
sure there's parts of the world where um, you don't get the kind of stability we have here.
Yeah.
But so, so right now um, so for us, it's it's more custom special orders. That part of the business kind of continues,
Yeah.
which is nice for people that are dealing with huge stock orders and inventory and stuff like that. That's
Yeah, it's a tougher. Yeah.
really a tough place to be in.
My takeaway from talking to like every store in the southeast ever is that the good news industry wide for anyone in the industry, foot traffic is approximately the same in stores. So that could change moving forward. We're sort
Yeah,
of at the beginning of it, but I mean, to the point where there were a couple of stores that weren't, you know, did, a little laissez-faire about it. There's obviously everyone's kind of like looking around, like, hey, let's see what happens. But, you know, they also still are slammed with people that need to get married and stuff, and
yeah,
celebrate their anniversaries and stuff. So the industry sort of moves forward. It has been around
yeah.
for 5,000 years, to be
Yeah,
fair.
yeah.
So it's been around a little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
That was very interesting. That we've talked to between you and I. We've talked to several, many retailers over the last week, and interesting to see see a lot of different reactions to this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Certainly,
Yeah.
you have concern. I would not say. Uh, I would say nobody's like panicked or anything
Yeah.
like that. I
Yeah.
think
They don't seem,
it's
yeah.
interesting that like independent jewelers or independent retailers are I guess they've seen it all. Um,
It's a battleground. So they're,
yeah, I mean,
yeah.
really a hardy, very
Yeah.
resilient
They're
group
pretty
of people.
tough.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then you
uh,
got finicky little us with our coffees over here on this side going, oh my gosh, what's going to
yeah,
happen? Just the
yeah,
thought of it. Like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
yeah,
And then everything stays about the same.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But definitely, definitely some people call in. Oh my God, what's
Yeah.
this is this is crazy. What do you think is going to happen?
And,
Um,
and, and
and then
rightfully so. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was going to say, and then you've got other people who are like, just wait. Let's just see what we're not doing anything. We're not going to react. Yeah, I heard about. Oh yeah, I heard about that. But we'll see what happens.
One of the most annoying things that came out of all of this, I won't call him out specifically, but is we had someone that right before I'm literally explaining to them, uh, what's gonna happen tomorrow. Hey, tomorrow, 100% chance
Yeah,
it's going to be plus 32 and a half, whatever it was, 26, 32 and a half, whatever it was. I'm telling you point blank. And his reaction was, I don't think so. I'm
yeah. Let's
hearing
see
the
what happens.
words.
Let's wait till it goes into effect.
We'll
And he was
see.
right. And he
And
was
he
right.
was
Yeah.
freaking, oh my gosh, I was so mad.
Yeah.
I was more upset about that than the tariffs. I hated
Yeah,
the fact that
exactly.
I
Yeah.
had to, yeah, the fact I had to call him back and say, you were right. Didn't go as bad as I, said. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was the worst part for sure. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah,
There seems to be
exactly.
kind of a mix of, I mean, people were rightfully, and hey, I'll say this too. In a lot of the groups and stuff, I mean, there's been a lot of jewelers that have done what the purpose of that, at least in some way was, is they are searching out. This obviously goes against us. It's all fair, and rightfully so, is that they were searching out U.S. production at that. They were like, oh, let's think about this. What can we do about this or whatever, and what there was some information brought to light about that, and then some of what you said. came into play where it didn't really seem like there was going to be enough to support that interest or whatever. But I mean, we'll see. We'll see how all this plays out. I don't know. I don't know what the percent's gonna, flip around. Maybe it'll bring some place people back. I don't know. Some manufacturing, like what in the guy beard episode. I guess what he was saying is it was stronger a long time ago, and then it's just sort of shifted around or whatever. Um,
I mean, I
so
think I think it's also like related to other industries. Like Guy, started in
yeah, that's
uh,
right. Yeah.
dental technology, and this is where he learned, a lot of his stuff. And then before that, just growing up, he was building, steam engines and random other stuff, right? So,
Yeah.
and then he got into to jewelry machining, right? So I think having that whole ecosystem, like it can't be just like jewelry manufacturing, right? When you have like advanced aerospace stuff being built
Yeah.
here, um, some of those people will splinter off and start doing interesting things with jewelry. I mean, I'm
A
looking at,
great point.
I've researched uh, things that are applicable, things that are like technologies that are from aerospace that are applicable to jewelry production.
Yeah.
Um, it's really interesting the things that go across there. And as you redevelop that whole, like, it's like manufacturing itself is an industry. It's not like
Mhm.
manufacturing in
Yeah.
aerospace and then manufacturing in t-shirts and manufacturing in jewelry. Like it is, yes, those are all separate, but it's also like manufacturing itself is a skill set.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I think it's naturally, as this other stuff plays out, I think we'll kind of develop more of a manufacturing base here,
Yeah.
in jewelry as well. And it'll probably be, it may be some more advanced techniques. It may be
Yeah.
robotic. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot of interesting things with robotic jewelry production.
Hmm.
Um, so we'll see. We'll see how that develops. But
I don't
uh,
know why we're even worried about any of this. It just hit me. AI doesn't have a country. I mean, there's no terror. I mean, if they just replace all of our, I mean, definitely your job and my job could easily be replaced with
yeah,
AI
yeah,
for sure. I mean, they could do that tomorrow. There's be no advancement,
yeah.
and
In fact, they could probably do this podcast without
they
doing
could do this.
that.
Yeah, I think this podcast, yeah, we should cut right here and then have the rest of it like AI
Yeah, it's
generated
just
and let's
AI
see
generated.
and
Yeah.
then have like a viewer vote like which one did you prefer the
Oh,
AI
that's a
version?
great idea, dude. We should do every other episode just with
Yeah.
AI bots or whatever, and let's
And
see if
yeah.
people like ours better or the
Let's
AI.
see, yeah. Ours are gonna get 6 views and that one's gonna get 8 or something and then we're
Yeah,
gonna we're gonna abandon humans.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, it's certainly been an interesting week.
Yeah.
I think we wanted to share some of these observations.
Yeah.
Share what's been going on here, with how jewelry industry and as a small business, and how this has been affecting all of us. I think it's certainly been interesting for everybody, but whatever our unique perspective is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully that's we'll see how these things pan out, and maybe we'll do another one. We've got another interesting conversation next week with
Yes.
somebody in the jewelry insurance space. So that'll be fun.
That's something people don't really think about. I think it's going to be a really interesting topic. Just chock full. I mean, as you know, insurance, one of the most exciting and interesting industries out there. So, I mean, get ready for this. This is going to be on the edge of y'all's seat, I think.
Yeah, yes, super thrilling. Yeah,
It's gonna be a thriller. Yes, this is yeah, thriller. No, I'm kidding. No, it's gonna be a really. I think it's gonna be really interesting. Yeah. Hey, by the way, before we wrap up, are you curious what I'm doing right this second?
yeah, yeah. Well,
Okay, so all right. So this is more for the people watching, I guess, because you've been involved in this already. Because we already argued about it earlier. So
I'm curious what you do any of the time. This isn't
okay, what?
what exactly do you do?
Well, we don't need a
Yeah,
specific rundown of the moments. We
yeah,
definitely don't need to get into that. It's more about the vibes that I bring in general, not about the minutes that I plug in. You know what I mean?
yeah. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
Good stuff. Yeah.
yeah. All right, good stuff. So, yeah, I am shipping something very exciting, right? I'm at the UPS store. And we got to wrap this up at some point pretty quick because I'm going to miss the window to give this thing to them. And that would be a really funny call to
That would
have to
be
make.
hilarious. Yeah.
That would be one of the funniest calls that you would have to make to them ever. Um, so I don't know how much I can get into it, and they haven't like bought it or anything, so I don't want to talk. But we have a jewelry store in. Does it matter? We can say the name, right?
Well, I don't know.
Well,
Let's
all
just
right,
talk
maybe
about
not.
yeah.
Yeah, just in case. Yeah, they haven't bought it yet or anything. So, oh yeah, well, just in case this doesn't show up or this is actually really ugly or something, then never mind. So we have a store, and they have a couple of customers, a couple, and they have an eye thing. They can't see. They're completely blind, and so they are trying. They're designing a ring, an engagement ring, and we're all sort of in the same boat of trying to figure out what the best way to, for them to get an idea of what that's going to look like, the design. So they've given a design. They know what they want it to look like, the design elements and everything, but it's kind of presenting that to them. That's tough. We normally do, a CAD, like a rendered, like a 4K, rendering of what it's going to look like ahead of time. And so the first thing we thought would be, oh, easy, a wax mold. We could grow a wax mold and cut it and ship it. It'd be like an exact replica of the ring. But that doesn't work because it doesn't show enough detail and the stones are not in it. You can't feel like where the diamonds are going to be and stuff. So it's not really getting us there. So we all put our heads together and we have an artist. And he is pretty creative guy. And so if we want to, I don't know, by the time we get to this, I guess maybe we could put a picture of it, or we'll circle back later and show everyone what this ends up looking like. But he painted the ring image, okay, and then, but he painted it with something called bubble paint, which creates a 3D effect on the paint, on the surface. It's kind of like painting with Elmer's glue, to be honest. That's what it kind of looks like to me as not an artist, as not a creative. Um, but yeah. So he did it, and we have some different, angles of the ring on several sheets, and it's pretty awesome. And so basically, it's kind of like jewelry braille in a way. I mean, you just sort of rub your hand along the design and it's raised up it's cross hatched on stones. It's raised up, it's dotted on mill grain and different things. And so the store is going to be there to kind of describe, what they're running their hand along and stuff as they're looking and everything. And so that's what we're going to try and do here. And so what I wanted to show everyone is how I've had to box this up. So, we had an issue where we have to ship two paintings to someone and they have to not touch each other and not move around in the box. So that's tricky. So what I did is I went to the store. You can see this is a MacGyver situation here. I have acquired two lids to plastic totes and they are slightly recessed on the ends. This is actually, I think, Neil's first time hearing this. So this is hilarious. Um, they are slightly recessed, the lids, plastic lids. So I have taped. I have the cool way of explaining this is I have gyroscopically suspended the paintings in between these two lids. The local the human way of saying this is I taped these paintings to the lids and then taped the lids together. And so it's creating this literally a safe, basically. And these paintings are taped to the bottom. You can see, pretty sick, or the worst
Wow.
idea ever. I'm not sure yet
Wow.
till it arrives safe. And you can see the box in my background here. Um, and so yeah, I basically just taped these lids together.
Wow.
Yeah,
Super
we're really changing
creative.
lives.
Okay. I'll give you
Yeah,
some credit. I'll give you some credit for being creative. I don't
yeah,
know if that was your idea or
this was
the
my
art
idea.
idea, but yeah,
The
okay.
artist did the artist did all of the actual work.
Okay.
But I was able to supervise. I was
Okay.
able to stand. I was able to loom over and say, "What if
Yeah.
we did that?"
Wow.
Um, yeah,
That's amazing. Yeah.
a
Good
good use of
job.
my skill set. Yeah, thank you, thank you. I needed that. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, so I am. We're gonna ship this
That was
overnight.
super
Uh,
creative way of packing, and
yeah, thanks.
no, but that is awesome that you
Yeah,
guys were able to put together something that hopefully they're gonna be able to interact with
yeah,
and actually get an idea of what the design is
yeah,
and what it
yeah.
looks like, what it feels like for them, because that I'm sure that will make a big difference to them. So very
Look at
cool.
you turning that all emotional. Yeah, I did present that
Hey,
pretty.
look, every so often I
Wow. Was that
appreciate
a
something that
was
you
that
actually.
wait a minute. What's that beating on the left side? Wait, is that a heart? I've never seen that before.
Oh my goodness.
What is happening?
Oh my.
It's
Oh my
wow,
goodness.
that coffee, man. Wow. It's got your heart rate
Well,
up and your heart's actually doing something now.
that's probably what it is. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
affected here in
Yeah.
intoxication or something. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Wow. So we go from not showing jewelry at all. We kind of almost show something last episode, and now I'm teasing people. I'm still not showing any jewelry.
No
Here's a
jewelry.
drawing. Here's the drawing
Yeah.
of the jewelry, but guess what? It's suspended, so you can't actually see it. You can see the outline of part of it right there in the
Yeah,
camera.
the
There you go.
outline of part of like
Yeah, of a
a
drawing.
3D
Yeah,
glue painting. Yeah.
correct. We're just giving the people what they asked for.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Apparently nobody's asking for jewelry. So
no one's asked for jewelry yet,
yeah.
which is so weird. We don't know.
If you want to see jewelry, put it in the comments.
Please, yeah, we're
Yeah.
open. We're willing to do anything. Just throw it. Put a comment down. Reach out
Yeah.
to us. We're
There we
very
go.
available. Obviously, this is all we're spending our time on. We clearly have a ton of time. Um, no, yeah, we're definitely not frantically trying to figure out what the tariffs are going to do. We have plenty of time to handle your requests.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well,
All
I guess
right.
that's good. I
Well,
feel like
let's get
we've.
that shipped before UPS closes.
I
Yeah.
do have 20 minutes. We should
Yeah.
wrap this up so I can ship this. So,
Yeah, let's wrap this up before they close the store early or something. Yeah.
yeah, that's what's probably. Yeah. Oh, we took off. Yeah. Or it's almost happy hour. So, yeah, I got to get in there.
There we
So,
go. All right. All
All
right,
right, good
man.
stuff. Yeah, we appreciate it. Thanks for helping us with the tariff. I mean, I know you have a lot of kind of intimate knowledge of everything, and it's good to talk about it a little bit and stuff, and we'll see how all this shakes out. I mean, we'll see. So the good news is everything just kind of moves forward, and industry's been around 5,000 years. I think if anyone's truly panicking out there, and we can take a breath, and we'll get through it together. So the thing is, I will say about our industry is it is so tight knit, close, and it's not small, but it feels that way because of how close everyone is, and everything. And so we're all kind of in this together, and we'll get through it that way as well. So
All
what's
right.
that? Do you
Look
see
at you
my
now.
heart?
Look at
Whoop.
you now. Look at
Did
you
you
now.
see my
Putting the
heart?
heart on your sleeve. Yeah, you
Yeah.
need to try
Wasn't
to.
that so emotional? I read that from a
Yeah.
chat GPT. I just typed in
Yeah.
chat GPT, help me close this podcast out, and it said
Try
to
to
say
like,
that.
yeah, yeah. You're just
Yeah.
like, oh, you're not the only one with a heart. Yeah.
Yeah, that's yeah. So, all right,
All
man.
right.
Sounds good. We'll talk
All
next
right, man.
time.
All right. Take
All
care.
right. See ya.